You're nice. I'm nice. I mean, we're nice. We're nice, kind, lovely people. We're a lovely community. We have lovely, pleasant interactions. When we see people, we're walking in the village. This is now pre-COVID, but we were walking in the village and we'd wave. We had lovely, beautiful interactions. We're nice, kind people. But kindness is not enough for this world. I used to really enjoy walking around 3rd Street. I'd like to see people on their first dates, the restaurant's super busy, street performers, people laughing and being together, walking around. Also, people would come up to me and ask me for help. And I was highly polite. I would often say, I'm sorry, I simply don't have any money. I was beyond kind in my words, my tone. I made eye contact to make sure that they felt heard as a person. And yet, I can help. My kindness in that moment was not enough. And there was one time when my wife Jen and I were walking down 3rd Street and a woman came up and asked for help. At this point, I'd been starting to provide food when asked, and so Jen already knew what was going to happen. She said, it's okay, we'll be late to where we're going. I asked, can I go into Coffee Bean and buy you something? If you're not hungry now, I'll buy you a small gift card. What is it that you want? So she told me what she wanted. I went in, I bought it, I came out, and I listened. She told me her situation. She told me how she got there. She wanted to make sure that I knew that this was not something that she chose. We talked for a bit more, and then she continued. To walk down the street, to be kind, to have niceties, to say hello, it's nice. But if you walk away and in your mind you justify the positions that we each find ourselves in as if it were meant to be, or that someone else was less than, well then simply put, your kindness is wasted. Now don't understand me. Please continue to be polite. I don't want to stop that. Continue to be fair, to show respect to others. But showing respect is different than recognizing the B'Tselem Elohim, the godly reflection that every single person has. And in our tradition, there is an emphasis on the notion of kindness. The Talmud says that really Perkei Avot, but the Talmud talks about it for a while, that on 3 things, Torah, Avodah, and Gemilut Chasadim. Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness, is one of the most basic 3 pillars of human behavior. But is that really what the word chesed, kindness, means? The word chesed first appears in Torah to communicate God's kindness and love towards humanity, as well as human kindness between 2 people. Chesed emerges as one of the essential ways humans engage with God to sustain creation. So, for example, in response to the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, 15th century Italian commentator Sforno says that the reason that God decided to engage first with Abraham in discussion is based on the chesed that Abraham shows to the angels who visited him prior. And then consequently, Lot and his family are rescued by God after he tries to show chesed in the form of hospitality to his guests. Our chesed here results in evoking God's chesed, but that isn't about kindness at all. That's about focus and drive to consistently show up and show love. Chesed is better suited to mean commitment, a commitment to doing the righteous work of God's will. All humanity being made in the image of God, we have a commitment to make a just and equitable world. That is the core of the word chesed. Chesed is the driven will to put out positivity, love, fairness, and the pursuit of a just world out there. Elie Wiesel said, indifference to me is the epitome of all evil. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is certainly not death, it's indifference. So let's go back to that word niceties, pleasantries, basic social manners of treating others respectfully. Now, we have a corrosion of the meaning of that idea in our society. To speak kindly to someone, but to not do the work when in front of their face. To speak kindly about a person and speak critically behind their back. That's not kindness. Kindness is a commitment of relationship and fairness in the world. It requires that if you have an issue, you grow with the person to fix it. Otherwise, we have actually put into this world deception. We've created a lack of integrity, and our own willingness to enhance the world is taken aback. Chesed is not a nicety. Chesed is a full, dedicated commitment to use your time on this earth to increase the moral base of all of us. Kindness is not enough. And if we don't embrace the change, what we have done is we've weaponized kindness. If you're nice to someone in front of their face and then you just use your manners, but behind their back you feel a different way, what you've actually done is you've destroyed an opportunity for connection. I would argue that the potential weaponized of niceties is just a Band-Aid. You Band-Aid issues. But when you treat one another in society with these niceties, what happens below the surface is that we're creating an inauthentic quality through the world. If you see a problem, work through the problem. Give every person the respect of knowing they deserve to know the truth behind your manners. If every person has a spark of the divine, do not use manners and small talk to maintain status quo. So what do? Rabbi Akiva says of the words of Leviticus, love your neighbor as yourself, that this is the most important rule in Torah. Not acknowledge them, not consider them, not tolerate them, love them. Provide for them a world that they can thrive in. Finish the work of the story of creation. God handed us a moldable and beautiful world. And if we just stop and let it concretize and then crack in the shape God left it, we would be doing a disservice to the divine. And make no mistake, kindness is not only not enough, true committed kindness is not a weakness. I'm not suggesting that kindness trumps self-care. Self-preservation does not need to come at the expense of others. That's a truly toxic notion that we have built in society to justify a way of thinking. Chesed holds the recognition that our relationship from soul to soul is divine, and that pure and loving interaction with others is our access to God. So recognizing that someone has to have a situation that they have because that's the way that I can get ahead with my life, it's not true. I heard on a podcast a speaker ask you the following exercise. I want everyone to close your eyes and imagine you're being born into this world. You don't know the color of your skin. You don't know your gender. You don't know your ethnicity. You don't know anything about the person that you are going to be, except you're going to be born into this society. What do you want the society to look like? What do you want the leadership to be like? What societal constructs are you okay with having none of those answers? What would you need the world to look like to be comfortable living in it? Advocate, push for equal rights. Do what you can to create the earth that you just imagined in your head you would need to be comfortable living. And we're at a true tipping point in our society, a tipping point, mind you, that we should have been at many, many years ago. The treatment of our Black communities in this country is the definition of weaponized kindness. To walk for even a moment with the notion that we somehow treat everyone in our society fairly, it's a lie. We systemically have not done what is needed to create an equitable and fair and just foundation for everyone. And I'm not suggesting that that means an entire society is racist. I'm suggesting that complacency or unintentional blinders we've put on have only calcified the injustice in our society, seeping its way through every aspect of life, poisoning the wells that we drink from each and every day, creating two tracks, Two different sets of opportunity for folks just by being who they are. Not being racist is not an answer to chesed. What we have to do is look to be anti-racist. At its core, anti-racist means to advocate and actively participate in change, not just be a nice guy. To own our own role in racism simply by not actively working to uproot it. When we do not take steps to find a more fair starting point for every soul born in our society, we are accepting injustice. And that makes kindness a stumbling block when it comes to the truth of this work, so be it. We need to wrestle. We need to feel the pain of knowing that being nice, being kind, it simply is not enough. I've lived a life of racist complacency by not actively stepping up to own the biases that I benefit from just living day to day. So as a community, we have to tackle this and begin the work of being anti-racist. And we'll start that through a book club with our Tikkun Olam programming. The first book will push us to confront our own experiences, our own complacency with racism, recognizing that each time that we defaulted to not being racist, we honestly allowed for this ugly suppression of others to garner more strength, allowing for years of existence to make it nearly impenetrable to change. So we're going to dive into the workbook, Me and White Supremacy with Layla Saad. We're going to look at each aspect of our lives and how white supremacy has actually benefited, even if we have never engaged actively in it. And together, we can manifest a truly more just and righteous world once we recognize our own role in it. We were never called upon just to repair the world. We're called upon to enhance the world, to make it better, to repair every soul so every soul can live up to its potential. Kindness isn't enough. We have to change the system of judgment. We have to eradicate the need to stand here and even talk about kindness in the first place. So let us engage in the true meaning of chesed. Let us be agents of change and constructive improvements to the world we are given. And let us join God in creating a more whole, fair, and kind world. Shana Tova.